The sleek, alabaster corridors of the Idol Enterprises corporate headquarters in Los Angeles fairly radiated an atmosphere of hushed prestige and influence. Tucked amid the glitzy throngs of Century City's high-powered entertainment titans, this gleaming modern edifice stood as a soaring monument to the crown jewel that was American Idol, currently in the throes of its nationwide judge audition process. And on this Thursday in early April, the building's ordinarily subdued lobby echoed with the strident clack of designer stilettos marching across its polished marble floors. At the vanguard stalked Meghan Markle herself, former C-list cable TV actress and current disgraced Duchess of Murkiness. Or as she preferred marketing herself these days, a powerhouse voice for the overlooked and underrepresented striving to rise above society's antiquated labels. Trailing in her wake were her perpetual plus ones, the exorbitantly compensated PR flacks and spin doctors tasked with keeping the highly polished Markle veneer buffed to a camera-ready sheen at all times. They scrambled to keep pace with her Duchessness's single-minded, almost manic trajectory as she beelined for the elevator banks. Not even a courteous nod was offered to the hapless millennial manning the front desk as she blew past his feeble attempt at greeting. Meghan's razor-sharp focus remained locked on the shining brass doors, every fiber of her being radiating an unshakable sense of regal entitlement and personal mission. Why on earth should she pause to make pleasantries with the unwashed help, after all? Today represented her grandest lifeline, her one true shot at bursting back into the global entertainment spotlight she unequivocally deserved as her divine right. Her haughty features contorted into an expression of potent, stewing indignation as the elevator doors parted to reveal the long, fluorescent-bathed gauntlet of the 33rd floor's waiting area. Even now, forced to idle under the unblinking scrutiny of those pitiful American peons, her royal sensibilities prickled and rankled. But she would tolerate this demeaning process of groveling and bartering for celebrity crumbs from the heathen's table, for now. Soon, very soon in fact, Meghan swore to herself that the tides would shift permanently back in her favor. The scales would rebalance to their preordained order in the cosmos, she soaring to her long-overdue apex of fame and worship, while her lessers kowtowed in supplication. Be advised, your obtuseness will only serve to hasten your humiliation on this day. Meghan blinked, drawn from her vengeful reveries by the succinct declaration fired over the lobby's reception desk by an impeccably pressed suit lingering near the elevators. The pinstriped figure turned to face her fully, revealing itself as a woman in her mid-50s. A craggy, disarmingly no-nonsense veneer framed her taut features and steely gray eyes as she pinned Meghan with an inscrutable stare. I understand these feelings of injured entitlement are practically hardwired in your psychological DNA at this point, the woman went on in measured, clinical tones utterly devoid of warmth or deference. But your little delusions of grandeur about sweeping in here like some avenging goddess and intimidating us into supplication are painfully adolescent and pathetic. Meghan stared back with a mix of incredulity and mounting, slighted rage as the stranger's barrage of dismissive condescension washed over her. It took every ounce of restraint for her not to verge into her trademark melty dramatics, mewling about, "How dare you address me in such a belittling manner," etc., etc. "I must say, Ms. Catherine Archambault, you certainly make for a rather unwelcoming welcome wagon," she managed at last in precise, frosty enunciation. Her gaze flicked to the smaller woman's lapel, emblazoned with the interlocked, Idol-y insignia confirming her position at the apex of the company. Catherine Archambault, founder, chairwoman, and chief executive of Idol Enterprises herself, regarded Meghan for another frozen beat before allowing the faintest ghost of a contemptuous smirk to crease her austere features. "Welcome wagon," she echoed in a tone dripping with sardonic derision. "My dear Duchess, your sense of expectation toward unearned deference and hospitality here is as bewilderingly inflated as your ego." Her eyes roamed over Meghan in an unmistakable gesture of withering sizing up before she fired her next salvo. "This corporation owes you nothing, least of all mindless pandering to some half-baked, mewling persecution complex fueled by your limitless narcissistic delusions." Meghan absorbed the blistering rebuke with a rigidly stiff posture. Her dark eyes had narrowed to inscrutable slits of deep emerald fury. How dare this dry husk of a gutter snipe address her in such a flagrantly disrespectful manner? "I'll have you know my extensive credentials and timeless, uncompromising support for the arts alone makes me eminently qualified to dash." You will have me know nothing, Ms. Markle. Archibald cut her off with a curt, dismissive flick of her wrist. Your vaunted credentials amount to a string of forgettable cable walk-on roles that haven't been relevant since the Bush administration. And your uncompromising support of the fine arts is an absolute farce sustained through an endless parade of vain public posturing photo ops. Meghan recoiled as if struck as Archibald continued eviscerating her with ruthless, heavy-handed contempt. You are, in point of plain fact, an unaccomplished starlet most famous for stupping your way into a lofty title you catastrophically squandered, not through victimized martyrdom as you'd have the public believe, but through your own petty arrogance and blinding toxicity warping into total dysfunction. She leveled Meghan with a look of pure disgust. The saddest truth is that your only salient activism, to date, has been in self-victimization and clawing for the reflective glow of fame at any cost to scavenge some semblance of meaning for your vapid existence. How dare you? Meghan spat in a scandalized hiss, nostrils flaring as the mortifying slights battered against her tender ego like physical blows. I dare because your rampant narcissism and towering persecution delusions render you utterly blind to how repugnant your bald-faced fraudulence and brazen hustle truly is to those of us grounded in reality, Archibald fired back without a hint of contrition. I dare because you are a sneering punchline of self-importance wobbling into our offices attempting to Bigfoot and bamboozle your way into joining the judging panel for one of television's most iconic institutions. Her steely eyes raked over Meghan in a gesture of outright contempt. And expecting us to grovel in gratitude at the prospect. Speechless under the relentless, surgically precise barrage of scalding truths, Meghan could only gape back helplessly as Archibald delivered the coup de grace. Your audition process concludes here and now, Ms. Markle, she hissed with finality. We have no need for your grotesquely inflated sense of self-importance further contaminating something we've strived to sustain as a legitimate cultural celebration of talent and inclusion, not a garish vanity parade for undeserving brats chasing fame's empty calories. Before Meghan could so much as summon breath to screech out protests, Archibald pivoted on her immaculate heels and stalked off without a backwards glance, leaving the disgraced Duchess to stew in impotent humiliation and fury amid the oppressive silence now blanketing the hushed lobby. Her eyes darted madly, rage simmering beneath the flush of full-body shame as she glimpsed the incredulous stares of staffers and